you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little black subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that black subscribe button. Really does help our audience grow, really does help our channel grow, really does help and mean more than you could possibly know. So go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Also, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet 50 on any game, get $250 in free bets. Thank you again to Betfred. Thank you again to you. Now, here's the video that you came here for. There is one other college football update before we get to the latest in the chaos at Kentucky, as now we basically have a report it's just crazy at Kentucky, okay? So we're going to get to that in a minute, but there was one very interesting piece of news in the world of college football. Well, really two. One, Florida's got some problems with their star recruit, NIL. I'm over NIL. We'll probably discuss it at some point, but I'm over it at this particular minute. But the story that I want to discuss, it comes at little old Clemson. You may have heard of it. Dabo Swinney, ACC champs. The last time we saw them on the field, they looked all disheveled, all disoriented, all out of sorts against Tennessee. And what was interesting about that game was that if you remember, that game was supposed to be the start of a new era of Clemson football. Over the last 2 years, DJ Uiagalelei had been the quarterback at Clemson. It had not gone well, and DJ had taken the brunt of the blame for everything that has gone on wrong at Clemson. And so I bring it up because in the Orange Bowl, this was supposed to be the dawning of a new era. Five-star freshman Cade Klubnik, who led Clemson to an ACC title in the ACC title game against North Carolina. It was his first career start, and I don't think anybody thinks that this kid is the next Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence might be a once-in-a-generation prospect, but he was supposed to be the guy to re-elevate Clemson in the bowl game. Only it didn't happen, and just a few days ago, we talked about Clemson on this show, and if there really should be reason for excitement for the Cade Klubnik era, because the offense didn't look any better with him in the Orange Bowl than it did with DJ. And so I bring it up because on Thursday, we got a very interesting report. As first off, Dabo Swinney fired offensive coordinator Brandon Streeter. Why that alone is important is this. Dabo has been a very loyal guy. He has stuck with his assistants through thick and thin, good and bad, highs and lows. He is not a guy that acts rationally or irrationally, I should say. He is not a guy that's just going to fire people for the sake of firing them, or if you have one bad game or one bad half or one bad season, he's not going to get rid of you. So one, when he got rid of Brandon Streeter, that was like this is a very interesting news development. But what was especially interesting was what happened next. Just a few minutes later, Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, he was the first one that I saw reported. If it was somebody else, maybe Ross Dellinger, I apologize. But whoever was the first to reported, it's been since confirmed by everybody, that not only is Brandon Streeter fired, but that they replaced him, that Clemson replaced him with, drum roll please, and you know I only bring out the drum roll for the big ones. Clemson's new offensive coordinator is none other than former TCU offensive coordinator Garrett Riley, the brother of Lincoln Riley, a super young, dynamic play caller, a bright young mind in college football, to which I say, boy, oh boy, oh boy, Dabo, I did not know you had it in you, but I give you a ton of credit. And so what I would say about Garrett Riley, and I think we've maybe touched on him before, he was going into the offseason the hottest name in terms of coordinator circles. He probably wasn't going to get a head coaching job, and I don't know that he would even want one. At this stage of his career, he's early 30s, build his resume up. But we were going into an offseason where there was a couple schools that are probably going to need coordinators, and he was going to be able to command a lot of money wherever he went. The common logic thought that Texas A&M would probably pursue him, and my understanding is they did. Now, whether it was they thought Bobby Petrino was better, or Garrett Riley didn't want to hitch his wagon to Jimbo Fisher, one, a coach that's struggling, but two, maybe more important, a coach that might be stubborn in giving up play calling. But Texas A&M was supposed to be a player for Garrett Riley. And oh, by the way, Alabama, who I still don't think Bill O'Brien is coming back. I do think he's going to end up in New England with the Patriots, with Bill Belichick. He was supposed to be target number one for Alabama. So the fact that Dabo Swinney, under the cloak of darkness, went out, fired his offensive coordinator, brought in the coordinator that everybody wants. Let me just say this. It has been a long time since Dabo Swinney made a move like this, and I believe this is the best sign yet that he may be finally willing to change with the times. And really quickly, I'm not going to do an 15-minute segment on Dabo. But the thing about Dabo, and we've talked about it a ton on this show, he has been a guy that is very reticent to change. I just explained the staff situation. Doesn't like to fire people. When people like Brent Venables leave, and Tony Elliott, the offensive coordinator last year, he left for the Virginia job, Dabo likes to hire from within. He likes to promote from within. He likes to build from within. He doesn't like to bring in outside people. On top of that, and we've discussed this a lot, not a fan of the transfer portal. I could be wrong, but I believe they still haven't taken a transfer except for another backup quarterback. Last offseason, they took one transfer. It was a backup quarterback. This offseason, they're taking another transfer who's another backup quarterback, but they don't make a ton of changes internally, externally, and how they do things. Finally, the NIL stuff. He's been very against. I don't want to say he's been against NIL. He's been against publicly paying players, which is just the new world. And so you add in the fact that he doesn't make a lot of changes. You add in the fact that he doesn't like the transfer portal, that he doesn't like NIL. It felt like this might be a dying brand in college football that Dabo Swinney simply wasn't willing to evolve. So the fact that he went out and not only fired his offensive coordinator, but brought in the guy that everybody else wanted, that is the best sign yet that Clemson, we were all throwing dirt on their grave. It might not be time just yet. I, like a lot of other people, think that Florida State actually might be the team to beat in the ACC next year. But Dabo's sitting there saying, listen, I hear what you guys are saying about me, and I see the product on the field, and the product isn't good enough. Cade Klubnik wasn't good enough in the bowl game. This team wasn't good enough. 2 straight years we have not gone to the college football playoff. And even though the playoff expands, we're not waiting for that. We want to be back next year. We believe we have a window now with a 5-star quarterback in Cade Klubnik, and he needs to be developed better than he is. So that's the story. That's the point. And I'll tell you this, I give Dabo so much credit. Hall of Famer, all-time great, 2-time national champion. He's been stubborn. But to his credit, he said, enough is enough. I don't like where this is going, and I'm going to make some changes.